Hello, everybody. Vasu Vaddiparty here with the Make the Money and Run podcast for Monday, July 26th, 2021. Big weekend in sports as always. Major League Baseball continues its second half of the season. We talked about an NBA champion last week, and now the new NBA season starts this week with the NBA draft. Some of the names we'll talk about between Monday and Thursday. Who's your team? Are they in the lottery or are they in the regular draft? The teams that made the postseason. There'll be the non-lottery picks coming up on Thursday night, I believe, is when the draft is. And also the Olympics have started, some gold medals, silver medals, and some disappointments, including men's basketball. We'll talk about all that and more on the Make the Money and Run podcast. Vasu Vaddiparty here, Charlie O on assignment. We're here every Mondays at this time. Actually, we're here every Mondays at 3 Eastern, but today's a special time. Had some stuff going on Thursday at noon Eastern and Friday at 1 Eastern. We're attempting to get Daniel Lust on, our sports attorney, to talk about the big movement in the Big 12 to the SEC. Texas and Oklahoma want to leave the Big 12 and go to the SEC. The ACC wants Notre Dame as a full-time commitment with football as well, too. And, of course, the names, images, and likenesses, the NILs that are going around college football and college sports right now have taken on a new frame of reference, new works. You saw the Alabama quarterback already have $1 million worth of endorsement deals. And is that a slippery slope that they're on, or is that something that's going to help college athletes in the future, whereas they never got any help before? How you doing, everybody on Facebook Live and YouTube Live? Welcome in. If you missed any of the live broadcasts on Facebook and YouTube, you can download, subscribe anywhere you get your podcasts, on Apple, Google, iHeart, Spotify, SoundCloud. Hello, Rick, on Facebook. Hello, everybody on YouTube as well, too. We appreciate you following us and the support that you give our show. It's a sports show based on sports and sports news and sports information, but it's also based with the slant of sports wagering as well, too. As we stand right now on this Monday, July 22nd, 22 states have legal sports wagering. 7 have bill passage for the next couple of years. California, where I live, is going to be on the books in the next couple of years. And Utah, Idaho, and Wisconsin are the only 3 states that don't have any legislation on the books. And the remaining 20, including California, has introduced bills to be passed. If you have any questions, any comments, who's your team, want to talk about any games, you can check out our social media. We'll also have an Instagram. We'll also have a social media post by 6 o'clock Eastern for the late games that go on. So that's 3 o'clock out here on the West Coast, as most games don't start till 7 o'clock at night on the East. At V Party Sports on Twitter, V Party Sports on Instagram, MTMAR Podcast, at MTMAR Podcast on Twitter, mtmarpodcast@gmail.com, and, of course, Facebook and Instagram for both Charlie and myself. Make the Money and Run page has a Facebook page in and of itself. All right, let's get to it. Major League Baseball, we'll get the lines up here now as we go to it, but Major League Baseball has their weekend happening. Last week was an interesting week. Dodgers-Giants played each other. The Padres had a big series last week as well, too. Very interesting, because here's the funny thing, and I tried to tell people this all week. The Giants and Dodgers are rivals, and yes, the Giants did win 3 out of 4 in Los Angeles, a big series. Now everybody's annoyed in them champions. Here's the funny thing. That's only one of 162 games. One of 162 games. Just because you beat your rival does not make it more important than beating the Pittsburgh Pirates, which they did not do. You were in college. Most of the people I know that I've went to college with, that I know that have gone to college, or that had high school parties, or whatever the case is, you get really, really, really toasted at one of these parties, and you have a 48-hour hangover. Well, that's what happened to the San Francisco Giants last week, is they ended up beating the Dodgers 3 out of 4. Everybody was all, woohoo, this is great. And I'm not saying this because I'm a Dodgers fan. I get it. I like the Giants as well, too. But all games matter. All games matter. Winning against rivals is not worth more than winning against everyone else. San Francisco's hangover cost them 2 games back against L.A., as they lost the first 2 games to the Pittsburgh Pirates. L.A. won 2 out of 3 versus Colorado, but they gain a game. They're a game behind San Francisco with a 3-game series coming up in San Francisco. Now, let's not get ahead of ourselves here. It's still July 27th when that series will start tomorrow. But the fact is that the Dodgers and Giants are the rivals in the NL West, and people think they're going to play out for the division. Everybody keeps telling me to watch out for the Padres. I'm still not sold on the Padres. I don't think they're a contender. They probably will end up in the second wild card spot, but I just think they throw the ball around too much. By the way, you can catch our betting lines at the bottom. The betting lines are here for the National League, the American League, and the interleague games as well, too. We'll get to those in a little bit. But basically, that's what our show's about. So we want to make sure that you have all the information necessary. Don't forget the trade deadline is also coming up this week, and we'll hit that as well. But as I said, the all games matter. As we said, all games matter. Winning against rivals is not more important. The Giants lost 2 out of 3 to Pittsburgh. They finally got a win on Sunday against the Pirates, and they were able to keep that lead a little bit of a distance against the Dodgers over 2 games now in the standings before the Dodgers come in. And don't forget the Dodgers, and I'm not getting all high and mighty because the Dodgers beat Colorado 2 out of 3. They blew their Friday night game. Should have swept Colorado, but it happens. You can't discount a Major League Baseball team. They have Major League players. Pittsburgh Pirates, Adam Frazier, who just got traded to the Padres, Brian Reynolds, 2 all-star starters for the Pirates. Their relievers are really good. They're going to be hot on the market for teams that are interested in bullpen help. Pittsburgh Pirates may have a bad record, but they're better than most people think. They have Major League players. You cannot disrespect the Pittsburgh Pirates. You cannot disrespect the Colorado Rockies. They came back on Friday to take a lead and win the game in extra innings. Dodgers were able to hold on with 1-run games on Saturday and Sunday. 1-0 on Saturday, 3-2 yesterday, with Kenley Jansen finally breaking his blown save streak on Saturday. He got the save on Saturday night. And Joe Kelly came in, although he hurt himself on the last play. It looked like a bad ankle on the last play that he made to get the out. He got the save on Sunday, and now both teams have a day off. San Diego has a day off as well, too, after their series in Miami, and they will go to San Francisco, where they swept the Giants. Last time they were there was my birthday weekend, which was May 21st, 22nd, 23rd, 2 months ago. They went into San Francisco. They swept the Giants 3 games straight, including a 10-0 victory on that Sunday against Anthony DeSclafani. Actually, they gave up 10 runs in 3 innings. They ended up winning by more than that. Don't have the exact score here. But the fact is that they did sweep the series, and so anything can happen. Anything like that happens for the Giants this week, they'll be looking in second place up at the Dodgers after Thursday afternoon. It's Tuesday night, Wednesday, and Thursday. All right, so that's basically what's going on between the Dodgers and Giants. Let's look at some of the other things that are going on in Major League Baseball. How about the Yankees-Red Sox? They seem like they play every weekend. Every game was a blown lead late in the game. The Yankees blew a 3-1 lead in the bottom of the 9th on Friday night, ended up blowing another 4-3 lead in the 10th inning. Boston came back and won. Boston blew a 3-0 lead on Saturday behind Nathan Eovaldi, Saturday afternoon. That game was on Fox. The Yankees scored 4 in the 8th inning and ended up winning 4-3. And then the Yankees, Domingo Germán, who's had a rough year, but he had a no-hitter for 7 1/3 innings yesterday, and Alex Verdugo broke it up with a double. And the Red Sox came back and scored 4 in the 8th, 5 in the 8th, actually, to take a 5-4 victory over the Yankees. So Boston ends up taking 2 out of 3 from the Yankees, who could have easily swept that series. Tampa Bay, actually Boston did win the series 2 out of 3, but they could have swept all 3 games after that Friday night comeback if they held the Saturday lead and got the win on Sunday. Same with the Yankees, who could have swept as well. Tampa Bay wins 2 out of 3 against Cleveland at Cleveland. They came back on Friday night in extra innings to win in 10. They got a big win on Saturday, and then yesterday they blew an 8th inning lead. The Indians came back to win. They lose. They are still out of first place because of the 2 out of 3. They stay pace with Boston, and they're 1 game back in the American League East. Toronto has another shot at Boston this week after Boston took 2 out of 3 from them last week, including a rainout. Actually, they won both games, and the rainout took care of the other game. And New York will visit Tampa Bay. Those rivals do not like each other. The Yankees are 9 games back, but they're 3.5 back in the wild card standings. We'll get to that. The Oakland A's are the second team in the wild card standings. Tampa Bay, of course, first in the wild card standings. Chicago lost 2 out of 3 to the Milwaukee Brewers. It was a great series. 2 first-place teams. Milwaukee pitching dominated Chicago hitting. Chicago's Lance Lynn got the best of it against Milwaukee's ace Brandon Woodruff, including driving in 2 runs himself. He hadn't had a hit since 2017 when he was a member of the St. Louis Cardinals, and he gets the tie-breaking hit, or actually the game-winning hit, that made it 3-0 in the 3rd inning. And Lance Lynn comes up as a winner. He signed a 2-year extension with the Cubs. He's having a great year. His ERA is under 2. The White Sox rolling in the American League Central. 9 games up on Cleveland, as Cleveland only took 1 game out of the 3. White Sox only took 1 game out of the 3 in Milwaukee, so they're still at 9 up going into this week. Let's move on to the American League West here a little bit. Houston sweeps the Texas Rangers. Oh, boy, the Texas Rangers. Now, we had Nate Miller on from the IBWWA on Friday. He's a Texas Rangers beat writer. He's a fan of the team as well, too. 12 in a row they've lost. Yikes. Houston Astros bats continue to roll. They didn't have a good offensive weekend. Texas pitching actually shut them down a little bit, but they get the sweep. They were down in a couple of those games. Actually, they were down quite a bit. They were down yesterday to the Rangers, but the Astros bats came alive. Zach Greinke ended up getting the win. Bullpen was able to hold it. The Oakland A's, they were hot 3 weeks ago. They're not now. They fall 3 out of 4 to the Seattle Mariners on the road. They fall to 6 back in the loss column, 5.5 back in the standings, but 6 back in the loss column is where you look at it. Seattle is 7 games out, but only 1 game back of Oakland for that second wild card spot. How about those Seattle Mariners? My partner Charlie O thinks that they're going to have their midseason slump and they're going to end up faltering. I'm not so sure, Charlie. Shout out to Dave Sims, the radio and TV announcer for the Seattle Mariners, and Rick Riz and Aaron Goldsmith and all those guys doing those games. You're having an exciting year this year in Seattle. And if you can end up getting into the wild card with the team that you've got, more power to you, as the Seattle Mariners are only 1 game behind Oakland. They just took 3 out of 4, the second wild card spot. By the way, they're 5 games back at Tampa as Oakland for the first wild card spot. So that means that Seattle is 6 games back. Seattle, Oakland in the same division. You got to give Seattle a lot of credit. They've gone through a lot of changes in their pitching staff right now. Kikuchi pitched well. They had this kid, McCocken, who's going tonight against the Angels tonight. Shane McCocken, I think is his name. He made his major league debut at Colorado last week in the 3rd inning, and all he did was have 5 no-hit shutout innings against the Rockies in Denver. That's not easy to do, and he's going to go up against Shohei Ohtani. I'm sorry, he's going to go up against the Houston Astros tonight. So Houston with a chance to put Seattle away in their misery. They've got McCocken, Luis Garcia going for Houston, as you see on the bottom ticker there. Colorado has the Angels tonight. Shohei Ohtani leads the major leagues in home runs, and he's going to pitch tonight for the Angels. He's a $1.45 favorite, 7.5 the total there. We'll get to all the lines in a second, but the Seattle Mariners take 3 out of 4 from the Oakland A's. They are 5.5 back. They are 5.5 back of the second place of the first place Tampa Bay Rays. They're a game up on the Seattle Mariners for the second wild card spot, and also Seattle in 3rd place. They're up a few games on the Angels as well, too, who are playing better. The Angels took 2 out of 3 from Minnesota this weekend, and they're trying to make a run here. Shohei Ohtani, obviously the show there for the Angels. All right, moving on, a little bit of the MLB trade deadline. We have the trade deadline come up. 2 big names already gone. Minnesota Twins looking to dump everybody. They trade Nelson Cruz to Tampa Bay. He's already hit 2 home runs for the Rays. They get 2 out of 3 out of Cleveland. Nelson Cruz, a big bat. They're talking about him playing first base when they have to play National League teams, or if and when they get to the World Series. And that's not too big a prize for them, because they were in the World Series last year. So Nelson Cruz to the Tampa Bay Rays. Yesterday, Adam Frazier and the Pittsburgh Pirates were in San Francisco in the 6th inning. He got removed out of the game, which kind of hurt me because I had the over 7.5 in that game. And no Adam Frazier, who leads the National League in hits, was taken out of the lineup in the 6th inning. Thought it may have been a double switch. Derek Shelton may have thought the game was over. They've already gotten 2 out of 3 from the Giants. No, he was traded mid-game to the San Diego Padres. Padres are going to get Adam Frazier. The Pittsburgh Pirates are going to get 3 minor leaguers. Something tells me that's not all Pittsburgh's going to do. I don't think Brian Reynolds is on the trading block. He's still a young guy. He's their all-star center fielder. But they've got relievers galore. We'll talk about teams that are buying or selling in a second. But Adam Frazier, what are they going to do with Adam Frazier? I still don't think San Diego's that good. They throw the ball around defensively. They don't hit in the clutch. And their starting pitching is something that they need vast improvement on right now. So the Padres trying to make a move with Adam Frazier. What do you do with the Gold Glove second baseman in Cronenworth? Do you move him to first? Hosmer's not having a great year. He's already platooning as it is. Ha-Seong Kim from the Korean League has come in to play second, third, and short for the Padres. When Cronenworth goes to first, he starts at second against left-handed pitching. Tommy Pham not having a great year in left field. Adam Frazier could play the outfield. Do you move Adam Frazier to left field and keep the continuity on the infield? Team chemistry, very important at this time of year. I can remember in 2014 when the Oakland A's, how you doing, Justin? It reminded me when you popped up on Facebook, by the way. It reminded me when the A's traded Cespedes for John Lester. It looked good on the books. John Lester got traded from the world champion Red Sox to help the Oakland A's get into the World Series in 2014, but they couldn't get out of the wild card game. They blew an 8-3 lead. John Lester started that game. He never came back to Oakland. He went to the Cubs from there. He ended up winning a World Series with the Chicago Cubs in 2016. And now it looks like it's the end for John Lester in Washington. He may be on the block as well, too, if teams are interested in him. But he looks like he's breaking down quite a bit. Once again, the baseball lines are at the bottom of the board. First game today at 5:10, a doubleheader between the New York Mets and the Atlanta Braves. They're going to play the first of 5 today with Marcus Stroman and Kyle Muller going in game 1. That's a 7-inning game. 2:10 here on the West Coast, 5:10 on the East Coast. The line is 152, 6.5 for the 7-inning game between Stroman and Muller. I'll get to our worldwide famous unsponsored picks segment at the end. Charlie O has some picks as well for me too. So keep track of the lines at the bottom. Nelson Cruz to Tampa Bay, Adam Frazier to San Diego. Jock Pederson a week and a half ago was traded to Atlanta. Where does that leave the aforementioned Texas Rangers? Joey Gallo, big bat in the lineup. San Diego was interested in him. Are they satisfied now with Adam Frazier, or are they still going to go after Joey Gallo? Kyle Gibson, who had a pretty good start on Saturday against the Astros, but was struggling after a 6-0 start with the Rangers. Kyle Gibson also on the trading block as well, too. Both of them Texas All-Stars, along with Adolis Garcia for the Rangers, who are in last place. And as I said, they've lost 12 in a row, the Texas Rangers we're talking about. How about the Chicago Cubs? They were tied for first about 6 weeks ago with the Milwaukee Brewers, and they were able to lose 13 out of 14, not by choice, of course. They lost 13 out of 14. They end up trading Jock Pederson, and now Chris Bryant, Craig Kimbrel, Javier Baez, Anthony Rizzo, Wilson Contreras. They're all in the trading block. They had a good game on Friday. They won 7-2 on Friday. They get beat by the Diamondbacks on Saturday and barely scrape out a victory yesterday, 5-1, to take 2 out of 3 from that series as well, too. Chris Bryant to the Giants. I'm hearing rumors, says Tom Lichty. How you doing, Tom? Thanks for coming in on Facebook as well, too. Everybody on Facebook, we appreciate all the likes and all the views that we get. Yes, that's true. Chris Bryant is Farhan Zaidi's type of player, Tom. No doubt about it. He can play 5 positions, including center field, third base, and first base. How do you like this, Giants fans? I got a trade for you. Darren Ruff and Lamont Wade Jr., who, by the way, hit his 11th and 12th home runs yesterday against the Pittsburgh Pirates in a 5-1 and a 6-1 victory. Take 1 game out of the 3-game series. They're 2 games back ahead of the division, ahead of the Dodgers right now in the loss column. 3 games back, 2 games back in the games behind standing, and 3 games back in the loss column. I think I got it right. I don't have it in front of me, but I know that the Dodgers are 2 games back coming in with the 3-game series this week. Somebody will correct me on Facebook, probably Tom, because I get a lot of flack from Giants fans on his Facebook page. Smack Talk Sports, I think, is the name of the group. I'm going to start including this show on it as well, too. So thanks to everybody on Facebook and YouTube Live. But anyway, Chris Bryant, one of the guys that's Farhan Zaidi type of player. A lot of teams would be interested in Chris Bryant because of his versatility. Cubs are a sinking ship right now. He wants to test free agency. Oh, by the way, Scott Boras is his agent. How about that? So he's going to be a free agent. But here's the key price to that. Chris Bryant is a free agent at the end of this year. Craig Kimbrel is also a free agent at the end of this year. Giants are looking at him. All the top teams are looking at him. We'll look at all the teams that are interested in some of these trade buyouts. Various other names are out there as well, too. Who's your team? Are they buyers? Are they sellers? Are they the Texas Rangers? Are they the Arizona Diamondbacks? Are they the Colorado Rockies? Very much interest in the Dodgers against Rockies pitchers. They played against John Gray, who pitched against him yesterday for the Rockies. They have a lot of interest in John Gray. John Gray hasn't had a lot of success in Colorado, but he's defined as what an ace is. Right now, Marquez having a better year. Gray coming off injuries the last couple of years, but with the Dodgers and their problems, Kershaw out, Trevor Bauer and his problems, now his administrative leave is going to be moved back to August 7th. He made his first public appearance on Friday. That's as far as I'll go with that. That's a legal matter that I'd rather not talk about. It's disgusting to me to even have to talk about it on a show like this. Whatever happened, something may have happened, something didn't happen. You're innocent until proven guilty, but it's a privilege to play Major League Baseball. And so whatever the Dodgers want to do, I applaud them for taking action and putting him on leave until the court matter and the legal process gets settled. That's all I'll say about that. I'll say that as a Dodgers fan. I'll say that as a fan of doing the right thing and morality and everything else that goes with that. All right, as we said, the baseball lines are at the bottom. The Major League Baseball trade deadline. Let's see what else we got in baseball here. Some MLB notes to go over before we take a break. As I said, winning against the rivals, not worth more than anything else. San Francisco had the hangover against Pittsburgh. The Miami Marlins Actually, let's go to the National League right now. Mets and Braves play 5 games up, 4 games up on Philly and Atlanta. Washington was swept by Baltimore over the weekend. Baltimore in last place, the fewest wins in the American League, but they beat Brad Hand yesterday in walk-off fashion. Swept the Nationals. Max Scherzer may be on the trading block, but he's a 10-5 guy, so he could refuse any trade. I heard the Dodgers are interested in him as well, too. Bring him on. I would love to have Max Scherzer on that team. Quality guy, quality pitcher. Washington 8 games back, probably looking to trade some pieces now. Who knows who's up on that team to be traded as well, too. Anybody want to trade Kyle Schwarber? Anybody want Kyle Schwarber? Giants fans, you want him in left field? If he comes back healthy, I'd put him in left field as well, too. Cincinnati moves into second place in the National League Central. Can't figure them out. They're such a hot and cold team. Offensively, they're so good. They're so good. They're behind Milwaukee in the standings. Milwaukee took 2 out of 3 from the White Sox, 2 first-place teams. And what did I say about the Giants not overthinking the Dodgers series? How about the San Diego Padres? They had a big week last week. They were on a roll. They lose 2 out of 3 to the Miami Marlins in Miami. All games count. All games count. Wherever we heard that phraseology before, I'll leave the politics out of it, but all games count. You lose 2 to the Pirates. You win 3 against the Dodgers. It's net 1. You win last week, San Diego, 4 games in a row. You lose 2. It's net 4. As we said, Pittsburgh won 2 out of 3 against San Francisco. Dodgers blew a Friday night lead. Could have swept Colorado. They end up getting 1-run wins on Saturday and Sunday. Kenley Jansen with the save on Saturday. Joe Kelly with the save on Sunday. Let's move on to the American League now. Houston sweeps Texas. Rangers have 12 losses in a row. Joey Gallo, Chris Bryant. Keep your cell phones open. You're going to be traded here by the Friday deadline, as are a few other pieces that are out there. By the way, I like, and I'm going to get to it in a second, Trey Mancini. Trey Mancini is a big name that I like. Joey Gallo, Chris Bryant, of course, Kyle Gibson and Craig Kimbrel pitching. I'm a big fan of Trey Mancini of the Baltimore Orioles. There's a lot of teams that could use him. He can play first base. He can play outfield. He can DH for you. All the Pittsburgh Pirates relievers, including Rodriguez, their closer, are pretty much available. Kyle Crick just got released by the Pirates. He's a hard thrower, former Giants prospect. And the Twins, who had 101 losses last year, 101 wins last year, turned out to be probably the most disappointing team this year. They throw the ball all over the place. Josh Donaldson complaining about spider attack from pitchers. Maybe he's just having a bad year. They trade Nelson Cruz. They've got other guys on that team to trade. Polanco, Taylor Rogers, who's the twin brother of Tyler Rogers of the San Francisco Giants, could come in and solidify that bullpen and can, have some brother kinship in the Giants bullpen. He's a big-time left-hander. Caleb Thibar, a left-hander for the Minnesota Twins, had a great year, led the league in holds last year, 2 years ago in 2019. He led the league in holds. He's a guy on the block, too. I'd be interested if you're looking for a left-handed guy in your bullpen. Dodgers could be interested in him. The Yankees could be interested in him, too, as well. The Boston Red Sox need some bullpen help as well, too. Talk about the Boston Red Sox. The Red Sox and Yankees traded blows back and forth. Both teams lost leads late in the game. As we said, Tampa Bay wins 2 out of 3 against Cleveland. Tampa Bay still 1 game back. Toronto, another shot at Boston this week. The Rays and Yankees, how was that division series last year? It's an epic series. 9 games back in the division with 3.5 in the wild card standings, thanks to the Seattle Mariners and, of course, the White Sox up 3 games. Needed for teams to play. Dodgers need depth. They thought they had a ton of depth. They just put Mookie Betts on the 10-day IL. Starting pitching, we detailed the Trevor Bauer incidents. Clayton Kershaw on the injured list. David Price has to be moved back into the rotation. He threw into the 6th inning the other night, pitched well. I think they're going to ramp him up to be a starter, but they could use another starter. Max Scherzer, keep your phone open. Kyle Gibson, keep your phone open. San Francisco Giants need bullpen help. Can't rely on Taylor Rogers and Jake McGee every day. Jake McGee did have a pretty clean 9th inning against the Pirates. Problem with Tyler Rogers of the Giants. Problem with Tyler Rogers is late in games, you need a guy that's going to have swing and miss stuff. He does not, and sometimes there's luck that's involved in that. All the analytics and sabermetrics people can poo-poo luck if they want, but sometimes luck happens, and sometimes it happens to Tyler Rogers because ground balls will find holes, and if you come in with men on base, that's going to hurt you. Some of the other teams, the Boston Red Sox need starting pitching. The New York Mets needs bats. They can't hit. They're weak at third base. Chris Bryant's been linked to there to play third base. Philadelphia, Joe Girardi still thinks he has Mariano Rivera in the bullpen. He does not. They need bullpen help. This Ranger Suarez has come in and pitched well, but they need somebody to bridge the gap between the starters and Ranger Suarez to close games out for Philadelphia. They're trying to make a move on the Mets. Their offense is so much better than the Mets, but they're so inconsistent right now. Even the Phillies announcers are saying that. Do they think this team is good? They don't think this team is good because they're too inconsistent in the batter's box right now, and that's what's going on. You get somebody in the bullpen, you match it up with the offense that they have, and you could probably have some games, and you might even be in first place by the time September 1st rolls around. It all depends. The Mets are without DeGrom right now for another couple of weeks, so we'll see how that happens. Atlanta's still in the thick of things. They need bullpen help as well, too. Will Smith has had an underwhelming year. A.J. Minter has been okay. Tyler Matzik has been okay for one inning at a time. But the Atlanta Braves are seeming to struggle a little bit. Freddie Freeman having a great year. Ozzie Albies having a great year. But their big loss is Ronald Acuna. Ronald Acuna Jr. out for the rest of the season. He tore his ACL in the game before the All-Star break on that Sunday. And he's out for the rest of the year. We won't see him back till 2022. The Milwaukee Brewers yesterday and this weekend proved to me that they need bats. They still need bats. They're in the bottom half. They're in the bottom third, maybe even the bottom three in National League batting. Their slugging percentage is okay. Their OPS is okay. But they need bats in that lineup. They traded for Rowdy Tellez, who's a good guy, who's a good power hitter. They traded for him as a cornerstone at first base to try and help them carry the division. If you need Rowdy Tellez to carry the division, you might be in trouble, as Charlie O said on Friday. They've got some guys that can hit. Christian Yelich is down from his MVP years and his runner-up years. Milwaukee needs bats. They've got a good bullpen, Devin Williams, Josh Hader to close it out in the 8th and 9th inning. And Brandon Woodruff, Corbin Burns, and Freddie Peralta, the three starters for the Milwaukee Brewers, have all pitched great. Their ERAs are around 2, 2.5. In Woodruff's case, it just got over 2 after yesterday's outing and the loss to the White Sox. But Corbin Burns, we all know his story. Started out at the beginning of the year, striking out 50 guys before he walked his first guy of the year. Any pitcher would love that. If you know the guys by name who you walked in a year, you're having a great year. That's an old Vince Scully line. And, of course, the Colorado Rockies are going to be sellers, too. They're starting pitching. Marquez, I don't know if Marquez will be on the market. John Gray definitely on the market. Some of their bullpen guys, there are a couple bullpen guys that can pitch for them as well, too. Daniel Bard, their closer. What a great story. He's come back after 5 years. He had the yips. For those that play golf, know all about the yips. He had the yips, couldn't throw strikes for a couple of years, went into management, decided to give it another shot because when you're blessed with a 98-mile-an-hour arm consistently right out of bed, you give it as many shots as you can, in my opinion. If you don't want to do it, you don't want to do it. But if you got that kind of gas and you can figure out how to harness it and throw strikes, you come back as much as you can. You come back as much as you can. There's no other way around it. All right, I'm Vasu Vaddiparty. Charlie O on assignment today. He'll be back tomorrow with us, or he'll be back on Thursday with us. I'm getting my days confused here because I'm early on Monday. First game starts at 5:10. First game starts at 5:10 Eastern. The Mets and Braves, the first of 5. It'll be Marcus Stroman against Kyle Muller. I'm here every Mondays, Thursdays, and Fridays. Charlie O will be with me on Thursday at 3 o'clock at noon Eastern on Thursday and 1 o'clock Eastern on Friday. And then today, a special time at 1 Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. Normally, our normal time is 3 Eastern and 12 Pacific. If you want to get a hold of us, please feel free to do so. You can get a hold of us on social media at Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, Make the Money and Run page, as well as on Facebook as well, too. At V Party Sports on Instagram, MTMR Podcast at gmail.com on Facebook and Instagram as well, too. We'd love to hear from you. Let's check out a couple of Facebook comments. How about the St. Louis Cardinals, Raymond St. Martin? Hey, nice to hear from Raymond St. Martin. How you doing, Raymond? Nice to hear from you. Happy belated birthday. I don't know if you got my message on that. Cardinals and the Cubs are right there, Raymond, in my opinion. They're in the National League Central. But it seems like the Cardinals are playing to win and the Cubs are looking to sell. So you're right. I don't know if you meant what about the Cardinals in terms of them buying or in terms of them selling. They need starting pitching if they think they're going to go after the wild card or they think they can catch the Milwaukee Brewers. And if they're going to sell, they've got some pieces that they can sell from the bullpen. And there's a lot of teams looking for bullpen as well, too. So thanks to everybody on Facebook. Thanks to everybody on YouTube Live for following us live. If you miss any of it, you can download and subscribe, rate, and review anywhere you get your podcast. Back in 30 seconds to talk some Olympics and talk NBA draft. This is the Make the Money and Run podcast for Monday, July 26, 2021. Vasu Vaddiparty here is a solo act trying to get his days straight, and also our pick segment coming up. Back in 30. Welcome back to everybody on Facebook and YouTube Live. Vasu Vaddiparty here with the Make the Money and Run podcast for Monday, July 26, 2021. We're a little early today as some personal things have to be taking place today. So I'm a solo act on Mondays. Charlie's usually busy on Mondays as it is, so solo act as it is. And then Thursdays and Fridays, Charlie and I will be with you at noon Eastern on Thursday, and then at 1 o'clock Eastern on Fridays as well, too. We review the week in baseball. We preview the weekend in baseball going into this week. As we said, we've got some big matchups coming in this week. We'll get to the games in a second before our pick segment. Talked about the trade deadline. Love to hear comments from everybody out there on Facebook and anybody that's watching us live right now. Is your team a buyer or a seller? If you're an NBA fan, who do you want as your team, as your pick in the NBA draft, especially if you're a lottery pick? There's not a great draft, but there's a lot of really, really good players that can help a team out. No superstars, no Anthony Davises, no Zion Williamsons right now in this draft, but who knows who could turn into what. There's a few guys out there that I'm really interested in, that I really like, that a lot of people are kind of down on. All right, let's move on to the Olympics a little bit. How about I give the Olympic Committee credit? It was supposed to be last year. We all went through COVID. We all know what's going on with COVID. We're not completely cured yet. Everybody stay diligent, stay safe. Respect other people's values. If they're not vaccinated, that's a personal choice. You don't have to be around them. I disagree. You should be vaccinated, but that's your choice. You do whatever you want to do. Again, that's the extent of the politics I get to. But after being a year late, Tokyo has taken off. Men's basketball has not. They lost to France. The first time they've lost in a medal game, not in a medal game, in a pool game in, I think, 16 years, since 2004. They lost to France. They had a 7-point lead late in the game. And I'm watching an NBA game with guys who have not practiced together. That's not an excuse. But they were jacking up threes like they do in an NBA game instead of going inside. They had a chance to dominate on the inside, even with Gobert in there. They were drawing fouls. They had a 7-point lead. France goes on a 16-2 run. Evan Fournier of the Boston Celtics, Rudy Gobert of the Utah Jazz, Timothy Luwawu-Cabarrot of the Brooklyn Nets facing his teammate Kevin Durant of the Brooklyn Nets as well, too. He's with the France team. They beat the USA in game one of Pool A. They are now the favorites in Pool A to win at minus 550. USA is second at plus 350. USA will play Iran on Wednesday. And if Iran beats them, this could be considered one of the worst disappointments. I know Drew Holiday and Devin Booker and Chris Middleton just showed up from the NBA Finals last week, but you still got Kevin Durant, you've got Dame Lillard, you've got Draymond Green, you've got all sorts of NBA guys out there, and they're shooting up threes. They're not driving the hole. They're taking shots that are ill-advised, and it's just a bad look right now. So basketball, I don't know what you're going to do. There's nothing I can do. I'm not one to tell Greg Popovich how to coach. He's got Steve Kerr of the Golden State Warriors on his bench. He's got Jay Wright, two-time Villanova national basketball champion in college, on his bench too. He's got a San Antonio Spurs staff there. He's a world champion himself, Greg Popovich. They've got world champions on there. But Bam Adebayo, good player. Miami Heat love Bam Adebayo out of Kentucky. But if he's your leading scorer, you got problems in the Olympics right now. So basketball having some problem. USA softball, however, not having any problems. They are dominating in their pool play. They are looking to win a gold medal. Monica Abbott, if you remember her from the University of Tennessee, she threw a one-hitter last week against Canada, and the USA had to make a great play at the plate to cut the run down. They won 1-0. The USA dominating softball. They're looking on the way to gold medal. Team gymnastics. By the way, you can bet on these. Check your sports book. There are wagers on there. I don't know enough about it to give you an educated guess on that. I could probably tell you that USA basketball is going to win. Gymnastics, that we're going to talk about right now, they're favored, but they've also got futures on the gold medal events and the heats. I saw my sports book has odds on the heats and the quarterfinals and also the gold medal round. Some of these events don't take place until the 30th or August 2nd, but those lines are out in terms of futures. I know golf is back in there, and you recognize some of the golfers as well, too. Team gymnastics is second in competition, but Simone Biles, if she's not the greatest gymnast in USA history, I don't know who is, and I like watching the gymnastics, and I think it's been really good this year, but obviously Simone Biles, a terrific, terrific young woman, young lady, good role model, but she is dominating as an individual in the gymnastics competition right now. She's in first. She's looking to take home another gold medal, take home another award in Olympic competition. Katie Ledecky, everybody's favorite in swimming. Excuse me for a second. Katie Ledecky, and everybody's favorite in swimming. She comes up short to Ariana Titmus, who wins the gold medal out of Australia in the 400-meter freestyle. Ledecky favored to win, I think 5-1 favorite to win the gold in that event. But Titmus comes back. I didn't see what her odds were, but she wins the gold in the 400-meter freestyle. The USA men's 4x100 secured gold as well too. And Reagan Smith in the 100 meters sets an Olympic record in one of the heats, and she's going for gold as she set the Olympic record in the 100 meters as well too. So lots to talk about with the Olympics. We got about a week and a half more to go. Basketball's got to get going. Women's basketball doing a great job. Shout out to all the new announcers and new talent that they have out there. I've had a couple of them on my show in the past. Krista Blunt, Jim Cosmore, they're out there. Jim Cosmore's in Connecticut doing the badminton. Ahmed Fareed, who was out here in the Bay Area, did Giants pre- and post-game. You see him all over NBC Sports now as well, too. Damon Hack is a studio host. He's on the Golf Channel. Bunch of people out here that we've had on the show and people that I've gotten to know over the years. And I'm glad that NBC has decided to kind of bring in some new talent for these Olympics. It's a tough Olympics for everybody to handle, considering it's not in the year that it was supposed to be. It's a year later, but they are getting it done. Very limited fans, very limited family. In fact, no family has come over. Everybody's watching on TV. I give NBC credit for getting the families on camera to be able to interact with their daughters, brothers, sisters, fathers, whatever the case may be in these Olympic games. So good for the Olympics, good for NBC. And you knew when there's money involved, they were going to somehow have the Olympics be on for sure. Mike Tirico doing a great job as hosting as well too, just from the broadcasting side. But the Olympic Games in the next week or so are going to get really exciting. The news is going to start coming out every day. Things are going to happen. Obviously, swimming, one of the big events. Gymnastics, a huge Olympic event as well too. Golf is there for the first time. A lot of PGA golfers, well-known golfers representing their countries as well too. Also, tennis is out there as well too. So lots to talk about. Men's basketball has got to get it going. There's no doubt about it. Got to get it going. All right, we're going to take a break here. We're going to have the world-famous unsponsored pick segment coming up. Charlie has picks today, even though he's not on the air. He's on assignment. We'll go through the baseball lines for today on Monday, and I'll give you my picks as well as we close out the Make the Money and Run podcast. For Monday, July 26, 2021, I'm Vasu Vaddiparty. I'm your solo host today. Back in 30 seconds, powered by Stables Media. Check out Stables Media if you're interested in podcasting or doing any broadcasts or just commenting on any of the shows. We appreciate each and every one of you for your support, live on Facebook and on YouTube Live, as well as downloading, subscribing, rating, and review. Vasu Vaddiparty here for the Make the Money and Run podcast, back in 30 seconds to close out the show with picks and baseball lines. Welcome back to the Make the Money and Run podcast. Vasu Vaddiparty here, solo act, Charlie on assignment. He did leave betting picks, and he had a pretty good week last week, so I think we should listen or at least read what he has today. He'll be back with me on Thursday, noon Eastern, 9 a.m., right here on Facebook Live and on YouTube Live. You can download, subscribe. Anywhere you get your podcast, just find that logo up there in the right-hand corner. Make the Money and Run with a little anybody old enough to remember the Hamburglar from McDonald's? That's kind of the character that our colleague Casey Freelove came up with. Miss Casey, hope he comes back and does some football with us. Hope everything's going well up in the Sacramento area for our buddy Casey Freelove as well, too. All right, we talked a little baseball trade deadline this week, a little bit about the Olympics, more Olympic stuff to come as we get to it. The NBA draft is coming up this week as well, too. Lots of things to talk about in the NBA draft. Lots of good players out there. The Golden State Warriors seem to be the fulcrum of the draft. They have 2 picks in the top 14, 2 lottery picks in the top 14, number 7 and number 14. And trade rumors abound. What are the Warriors going to do? James Wiseman's name keeps coming up. Keep James Wiseman. That's just my opinion. He's 19 years old. He's going to grow into his body. He's not Zion Williamson yet. Who is Zion Williamson, even at 19 or 20 years old? He's got a lot of learning to do. He's on a good team. I know if Curry Thompson and Draymond Green, they're getting older and they probably want somebody else to come in there because their window is closing as they get older. But let's face it, we don't know how fast Klay Thompson's going to come back either. He's missed a year and a half, almost 2 years of playing time, and he's rehabbing very hard, and he's doing everything needed to do to get back and play. But who knows how effective he'll be, if he'll be the Klay of old or he'll be a 15 to 18-point scorer with great defense and 7 to 9 rebounds a game. Would you take that as well next to Curry, or do you want his 25 back? Of course you want his 25 back, but don't know if that's going to be the type of player he's going to be. And then, of course, they let Durant go a couple of years ago. Now they've got Andrew Wiggins. They're looking maybe to trade. Bradley Beal's name has come up from the Washington Wizards. Even though Bradley Beal says he didn't ask for a trade, his name keeps popping out. Kevin Love's name has come out. Remember a few years ago when Klay Thompson was rumored to be traded for Kevin Love? Well, I bet the Warriors are glad they didn't do that. And now they have a shot at Kevin Love. Be very interested to see. All right, the draft on Thursday night. ESPN and ABC will cover it. Warriors have 2 picks in the top 14. A lot of draft picks hinge on the Golden State Warriors because any draft pick they have with a healthy Curry and a healthy Thompson coming back, they could elevate themselves up there in the NBA futures rankings. We're a little far away to be talking about NBA futures and what the odds are. I know the Brooklyn Nets are the favorites to win the 2021-2022 season, which will start on time, by the way, in October. But there are a lot of trade rumors abound. You just have to check your websites, check whomever you trusted sources to find the trade deadline, check your local beat writers. They always have news. I know the Warriors people are really good. The Lakers people are really good. Those are the two I pretty much follow in terms of trades. And then I follow all the Twitter handles and everything that's out there in terms of trade rumors. But some of the names in the NBA draft coming up: Cade Cunningham out of Oklahoma State, great player. Looks like he's going to go number 1. The Detroit Pistons have the number 1 pick. Evan Mobley out of USC, he's up there as well too. Great defense, great rebounder. Little soft on the offensive side yet, but like Wiseman, he can develop. He's got a pretty good jump shot. Jalen Green, Jalen Suggs out of Gonzaga, Scotty Barnes, who I really like, out of Florida State. He's a freshman. In fact, all these guys right here, except for Davion Mitchell and Corey Kispert, are all freshmen. Jalen Johnson of Duke is coming out as well too, and then Williams as well too is coming out. But Mitchell, Kispert, Moses Moody out of Arkansas, James Kuminga, I think it's James Kuminga. Rick Whitmer, maybe you can help me out. You're the college basketball guy. James Kuminga, I think is the guy's name, but he's coming out. He's a top 5 pick, but a lot of draft nicks have him coming down to 7 where the Warriors are. I think the Warriors like him a lot. I like Scotty Barnes, somebody that you can plug and play right now if you're going after a championship. Cade Cunningham, if you can get Cade Cunningham, then you're talking about something special, and you may have to trade James Wiseman for a Cade Cunningham. But everybody else on the board after Cade Cunningham are going to be plug-and-play pieces. They're going to be developmental pieces. There's really nobody on this list or in this draft that's going to come in and help you win a championship right away, and that rarely is the case. I like Cade Cunningham. Obviously, everybody likes Cade Cunningham. I like Davion Mitchell a lot. Davion Mitchell, if you need a backup point guard, Davion Mitchell is right there to come in and back up Steph Curry and come in and play point guard. Jordan Poole doesn't have to have the responsibility of having the point guard responsibilities on him. He can come in and be the shooter that he is, and they can get some scoring. And on top of that, they will get great defense. Davion Mitchell is a dog. We heard PJ Tucker talk about what a dog was at the Milwaukee Bucks parade. He's a dog. Davion Mitchell will hound you. He's in your jersey all day. Davion, I think Fran Fraschilla called him that. He'll be in your jersey all day, Davion Mitchell, or Day Off Davion. That's what the nickname was. Day Off Davion. Those of you at Baylor know exactly what I'm talking about. Day Off Davion, because every time he guards somebody, they usually have a day off. They don't come out and put their usual production up. So Davion Mitchell, somebody that I really like. Scotty Barnes I really like. I like Jalen Suggs a lot, and I like Cade Cunningham the best. Obviously, Cade Cunningham, the best player in college basketball. How could you not like him? So Cade Cunningham, Scotty Barnes, Davion Mitchell, Kuminga. I don't know much about Kuminga. James Bouknight out of Seton Hall is a pretty good player too. He can shoot the ball. Moses Moody out of Arkansas. They have a run and gun offense that Eric Musselman, former NBA coach, who's now at Arkansas in his 3rd year coming up, has developed Moses Moody into a pretty good shooter and a pretty good player. Don't know if he can play defense. Don't remember Arkansas playing a lot of defense this year as well. Corey Kispert can shoot the lights out from anywhere. He's a Gonzaga player as well too. He was on the national championship team as well. Or he was on the runner-up on the NCAA finals that lost to Baylor. But Corey Kispert, a good shooter. Davion Mitchell had something to do with him in that game as well, too. And then Jalen Johnson of Duke also coming out after his freshman year. Lots to talk about freshman year. All right, let's get to the baseball lines. Actually, we'll do that. We got to take another break here. 30 seconds with the baseball lines and our world-famous unsponsored pick segment. Charlie O has picks today. He's not here, but he can send in picks. Vasu Vaddiparty here, your solo host, Monday, July 26th, 2021. Thanks to everybody on Facebook and YouTube Live. You can download, subscribe if you miss any of the podcasts. We try to do these podcasts early enough so that if you can get to the podcast before the game starts, you can get our picks and not miss out on any of the winners that we have or the losers that we have. We're honest about it, so we'll tell you who wins and who loses. We could be right, we could be wrong, but most of the time we've been right lately, so you should listen to us, and it doesn't cost you anything to listen to us. Back in 30 seconds, Vasu Vaddiparty here for the Make the Money and Run podcast, Monday, July 26, 2021, powered by Stables Media. We'll see you in 30. Hi, everyone. Vasu Vaddiparty back with you on the Make the Money and Run podcast, last segment of the show. Solo host today, Charlie O, on assignment. He'll be back with me on Thursday at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific in the morning before all the day games start in Major League Baseball. Obviously, the Olympics are going on all through the night, daytime there, nighttime now. As I'm watching the replays, men's basketball having a tough time. They lose to France yesterday in their opening pool play game. Gymnastics is doing well. They're in second place right now. First time they've been in second place in years. Hopefully they can pick it up. Simone Biles, the greatest gymnast in women's USA history gymnastics competitions. She leads in first place right now, going through some events. And then women's softball dominating as well, too. Baseball's back in the news for the Olympics as well as softball. And then the swimming categories, Katie Ledecky wins the silver in the 400-meter. The men's 4x100 team captured gold. So it's been a pretty good Olympics so far. And the fact that NBC's doing it and there's not a big crowd out there. Skateboarding's even been pretty interesting. I know a lot of people, the demographics are trying to get the younger demographics in, and skateboarding has been part of it as well, too. So like I said, email us, text us, send us an email, mtmarpodcast@gmail.com, on Twitter at mtmarpodcast, VParty Sports on Instagram, at VParty Sports on Twitter. Charlie O has social media as well, too, Facebook and Instagram, Charlie O'Maloney on Facebook and Instagram, also on Twitter at Charlie O'Maloney 1320 ESPN. Various other places that you can catch us. Make the Money and Run page also has its own Facebook page as well, too, for any comments. What about your teams in the Major League Baseball trade deadline? Or your team's buyers or sellers? We talked about the trade deadline this week. NBA draft coming up this week. Of course, we brought up the Olympics. And don't discount any Major League Baseball team. They all have Major League players. Just because you beat your rival, just because you beat a team that's more popular or more in the spotlight doesn't count as any more than it does losing to a team that's under 500, which the Giants found out over the weekend. They took 3 out of 4 from LA, and then they proceeded to lose 2 games to the Pirates on Friday and Saturday before winning yesterday and salvaging 1 game of the 3-game series against the lowly Pittsburgh Pirates. Adam Frazier got traded from the Pirates mid-game to the San Diego Padres. Nelson Cruz got traded to the Tampa Bay Rays last week. He's already provided dividends as he's hit a couple of home runs for the Rays already in 5 games that he's been there as well. Chris Bryant, Craig Kimbrel, all the Cubs, all the Twins, Trey Mancini of the Orioles, various other players out there are probably on the trading trading block for the trade deadline. That's going to be this Friday. Usually it's the 31st, but the trade deadline happens in the afternoon, 4:00 Eastern in the afternoon. But with day games going on Saturday, they moved it back a day so that nobody has to get called in the middle of games. So another good move by Major League Baseball to move it back a day. And by the way, I've said this before, there's only one trade deadline. There's no waiver trade deadline after July 31st. So this is it. A non-waiver trade deadline. This is it. No trades after July 31st. We'll see if that comes back. The collective bargaining agreement, the union and the owners will have to get to all this stuff in December. in order for there to be baseball in 2022. There will be baseball in 2022, and I believe they will come to an agreement. They're not going to let this go, and they're not going to let it affect the fans of baseball who missed baseball a couple of times this year, a couple of times in the last 25 to 30 years, especially with the strike in 94 as well, too. All right, let's get to the games. We talked about all the games. We talked about all the possibilities in terms of the trades and trade deadlines. Let's get to the National League games. We talked about them a little bit. We talked about the ramifications in the standings. Right now, the Mets, the Brewers, and the Giants lead the National League in division races. The Red Sox, the White Sox, and the Astros lead in the American League in division races. The Tampa Bay Rays and the Oakland A's are the top two wildcard teams in the National League. The Los Angeles Dodgers and the San Diego Padres are your first and second wildcard teams in the National League, but they are being looked up on, especially the second team. San Diego not that far ahead of the teams behind them, and the Oakland A's, after losing 3 out of 4 to Seattle this weekend, are only looking up at a game up on Seattle. They're in their division as well, but they're also a game back of the second-place wildcard standings. So Seattle Mariners making a push now. Are they buyers or are they sellers? People up in the Northwest, let me know what you think about that as well, too, because I think they're kind of caught between a rock and a hard place. They probably are not going to catch Houston, and Oakland is a better team. So do you buy and mortgage the future, or do you trade? Mitch Haniger's name has been mentioned with a couple of teams with the Seattle Mariners as well, too. So the usual suspects in terms of the big names that are out there. But a guy like Mitch Haniger, 26 home runs for Seattle. Don't tell me he can't help your team at all and play a pretty good outfield. He's also pretty good. I think he can play first base, too. He's from the Bay Area, and I remember him from Archbishop Mitty High School. I believe my brother-in-law went there. That's why I said it out loud just now. Archbishop Mitty High School, and I believe he played first base there, too, as well. Somebody can get with me on that. And then he went to San Luis Obispo, played outfield at Cal Poly San Luis Obispo here on the Central Coast in California. All right, baseball lines before we wind up and give our pick segment here. The New York Mets, game 1 of the doubleheader. We don't have game 2 yet. Check with us at 6 o'clock Eastern for any later picks. Game 1 of the doubleheader will start at 5:10 Eastern, 2:10 Pacific. Marcus Stroman, Kyle Muller for the Braves, 7-inning game, 152 for the Mets, 6.5 the total. Marcus Stroman came off an outstanding outing against the Cincinnati Reds. Kyle Muller pitched. He didn't pitch in the Phillies series. He pitched in the series before, and he pitched okay. The game went over. I remember having the over in that game with him in it, so I believe that that game could help. 6.5 is the total for a 7-inning game. We'll give you my picks on that if we have a pick on that. Philadelphia 116 versus Atlanta. Philadelphia versus Washington. My bad here. Let me change that here. It's early in the morning, so let me change that here. Philadelphia versus Washington, because that's Joe Ross going for Washington. Hey, we're not afraid to make mistakes here, and we make them. And so I'll just update that right now. Philadelphia Phillies took 2 out of 3 from the Atlanta Braves. Aaron Nola was outstanding on Sunday. 116 the line, 9.5 with Spencer Howard going against Joe Ross, who struggled. He's had some good starts for Washington, but right now Washington getting swept by Baltimore over the weekend. We'll probably put them in seller mode. Max Scherzer on the trading block. The Dodgers have shown interest in him too as well. So very interesting on how this is going to play out in the National League East. The Mets are 4 games up on Philadelphia and Atlanta in the loss column. So Philadelphia trying to make a move. Offensively, they're much better than the Mets, but their bullpen is horrendous. And Aaron Nola is the only thing they've got going starting right now. They're looking for starting pitching. 116, 9.5 the total. Spencer Howard and Joe Ross for Washington. Chicago Cubs in the other National League game, 129. They took 2 out of 3 from Arizona. Got blown out on Saturday. Very underperforming team. Very underperforming team of the Chicago Cubs. 5 weeks ago or 6 weeks ago on a Monday, in fact, they were tied with Milwaukee for the top spot in the National League. And either team, whoever finished second by way of record 6 weeks ago, was going to be the second wildcard team ahead of the Padres. And here they are now. They've fallen back. They had that 13 out of 15 stretch. They had won 2 out of 3 against Arizona, but it's Arizona. I know all games count. I just said that, but it's still Arizona. But they're an underperforming team. Bryant, Kimbrel, Biles, Rizzo, all these guys on the trading block. They've already traded Jock Pederson to Atlanta. Kyle Hendricks, who pitched well against St. Louis last week, is going to get the start. He's going to go up against Wade Miley. Star Wars Miley. So they got a bobblehead for Wade Miley in Cincinnati on Star Wars. I think it was a Jedi Knight or something. 8.5 the total. Cincinnati's offense, hit and go. hit and miss. They took 2 out of 3 from St. Louis. Got off to a good start last night with Sonny Gray on the mound, but then St. Louis came back and scored 10 runs, ended up winning, salvaging one game in that series. Chicago Cubs are definitely in sell mode based on the way they're playing, but yet they're only a game behind the St. Louis Cardinals, and yet St. Louis seems like they're going for it, still winning. Arenado, Goldschmidt having good years. Goldschmidt got off to a horrible start, but now he's hitting in the 250s, considering he was at 115 early in the year. To be at 250 is quite an accomplishment. But right now, the Cubs are 129, 8.5 with Wade Miley and Kyle Hendricks on the mound. In the American League, a few more games in the American League to go to. The Boston Red Sox took 2 out of 3 from the Yankees, all in comeback fashion. The Yankees win on Saturday was in comeback fashion. Big comebacks. 4 runs in the 8th for the Yankees on Saturday, 5 in the 8th for the Red Sox on Sunday after Domingo Germán had a no-hitter for 7 1/3 innings. 140 with Nick Pivetta. Thomas Hatch going for the Toronto Blue Jays. Toronto got swept last week by Boston in a 2-game series. And if they're going to make a move, they're 8.5 back right now of the Red Sox and 7.5 back of Tampa for the wild card. Tampa in second place. They're all in the same division. Nick Pivetta's got to pitch better. The 11, the total. You don't know if it's going to be a high-scoring game with Toronto and their bats. Guerrero's having an awesome year. He might be the lead MVP candidate. Bichette's having a good year. He hit a 17th home run yesterday. And Nick Pivetta has not pitched great his last few starts after starting out 6-0. 140, 11 the total for the Boston Red Sox, first place versus fourth place. Chicago White Sox, who lost 2 out of 3 to Milwaukee, 2 first-place teams. Tony La Russa knows how to manage in the National League. He's got a staff from the St. Louis Cardinals. Great win yesterday in Milwaukee to beat the Milwaukee Brewers ace Brandon Woodruff. 120 for the White Sox today with Dallas Keuchel on the mound. At Kansas City, 9.5. Kansas City just came off sweeping the red-hot Detroit Tigers. Tigers have come in winning 7 in a row. They swept Detroit 3 straight. 9.5, Mike Minor on the mound for Kansas City. Minnesota Twins lost 2 out of 3 to the Angels. They're at home to the Detroit Tigers. We said they won 7 in a row. Lost 3 straight to the Kansas City Royals. They're on the road. Michael Pineda, who's got some of the best stuff in the world, if you can put it together, he's on the mound for the Twins tonight against Matt Manning, whose last start was outstanding against the Rangers. And he's one of the young arms that they're counting on in Detroit to build it up. Matt Manning, Casey Mize, 2 of the young arms that are going for and Spencer Turnbull, who's on the injured list right now. Spencer Turnbull, those 3 arms they're counting on in terms of being able to get out there and do some good work for the Detroit Tigers. 156, the line for Minnesota, 10 the total at Target Field tonight. In the last American League game, we talked about McCocken. Daniel McCocken threw 5 no-hit innings in his Major League debut. He was the second reliever coming in against Colorado after Kenyon Middleton gave up 5 first-inning runs. McCocken came in through 5 no-hit innings in his Major League debut. That's earned him a start. He's going to start against the Houston Astros. Houston's still a 165 favorite, 8.5 the total. Luis Garcia, starting pitching, has been a weak spot for the Astros. Remember, they were on a bad roll going into the All-Star break. They came out of the All-Star break on a bad roll. They did sweep Texas this weekend, but Texas was already on a 9-game losing streak when they came in to Houston over the weekend. Daniel McConkey, we said, is getting the start after his great outing last week in Colorado. It was on Wednesday at Colorado that he got the start, and he's going up against Luis Garcia. 8.5 the total, 165 for Houston. Seattle, don't count out Seattle. They just took 3 out of 4 from the Oakland A's. They're 1 game back in the wild card for that second wild card spot. So, and they're motivated because they're 7 back at Houston for first place. If they can get any of these games back from Houston and give themselves a chance maybe to get to first place, then that wild card might seem more attainable. So good for Seattle and good for the fans up there. You don't know what kind of team you have. I'd be interested to hear what the Seattle press, Seattle announcers, Seattle media, Seattle fan base says about if they're buyers or sellers. Charlie O seems to think they're kind of in no man's land, that they don't want to add anything, but they don't want to subtract anything either. And that might be the way it goes with team chemistry. But they are only 1 game back of the Oakland A's, who on paper seem to be much better. But the Astros are there, Garcia and McCocken. All right, real quick on the interleague game, Shohei Ohtani and Germán Marquez. 145 for Ohtani. Marquez going for the Colorado Rockies, 7.5 the total. Shohei Ohtani hit his 35th home run yesterday. Germán Marquez, the ace of the Rockies, had pitched well against the Mariners last week. All right, pick segment. As we get to the pick segment, I'm going to give you Charlie's picks right now real quick as we're running over time. The Chicago White Sox, 125 at Kansas City, Dallas Keuchel over Mike Minor. And then the Atlanta Braves in game 1 with Kyle Muller, plus 135 against Marcus Stroman and the New York Mets. My picks for today, Mets and Braves under 6.5 game 1. Cincinnati Reds at Chicago, plus 119, the very underachieving Chicago Cubs. Wade Miley and his offense, they usually play well in Chicago, plus 119. Talked about Matt Manning and the Detroit Tigers, plus 146 against Minnesota. Minnesota does not impress me. They lost yesterday to a fairly average pitcher in Jamie Barria, who pitched well for the Angels, but they should have got that win. Plus 146 for Detroit and Matt Manning. Danny McCockett at home against the Astros, plus 155. 5 no-hit innings. Go get them, young man. You got the Astros. You're trying to make a move in the American League West, and it looks like they're going to count on you. And then, of course, the LA Angels with Ohtani. He hit a home run yesterday, and now he's going to take the mound today. What a story he's been for baseball as well. All right, we'll see you on Thursday, noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. Vasu Vaddiparty will be joined by Charlie O. Thanks to everybody on Facebook Live and YouTube Live as well. Thanks to everybody for downloading, subscribing on Apple, Google, iHeart, Spotify, SoundCloud. Anywhere you get your podcast, you just look for that logo, MTMAR, up there in the corner. Download, subscribe, rate, and review. We appreciate it. Send us comments. Good luck to your teams this week on the trading deadline. Good luck to your wagers this week. We'll see you Thursday, noon Eastern, right here on Facebook Live and YouTube Live and all across the Stables Media Network. I'm Vasu Vaddiparty. Have a great afternoon. Talk to you soon.